just clarify the point about in spite of, despite, although, even though, and though. Okay? And you know, all of these words are used in order to show contrast between two ideas in the sentence. Here we've got some examples. For example, although we don't agree, I think she's a brilliant speaker. So you see that after although, we use a complete sentence. And the next part is also another complete sentence. So actually, although is a conjunction, which is just connecting two complete sentences. One of them is dependent on the other one. That's why we call them, one of them is a subordinate of the other. Even though has got the same role, it means that it's a conjunction and it connects two complete sentences. So instead of although, we can use even though. But the story is different for in spite of and despite. In spite of and despite are not conjunctions. They are prepositions actually, and they can just have one noun or a noun phrase afterwards. Okay? So after in spite of and despite, we only have noun phrases, not complete sentences. Okay? So here we have, in spite of the law, people continue to use mobile phones while driving. So it means that although it's a law, people continue to use mobile phones while driving. So after although and even though, we need complete sentences. It means subject and verb. But after in spite of and despite, since they are just prepositions, we only can use a noun or a noun phrase. And usually we use a comma afterwards for both of them in order to separate the ideas, because we are showing a contrast between what it is said after despite or in spite of, or after although and even though, and the other part of the sentence, which is an independent clause. Okay? So if we look at the other part, this is explained here as well. Like, for example, we say after in spite of and despite, we use a noun, gerund, ing form of a verb, or a pronoun. Okay? For example, they never made much money in spite of their success. In spite of the pain in his leg, he completed the marathon. Despite having a headache, I had a great birthday. The train was canceled, and in spite of that, we arrived on time. Okay. So as I said, in spite of and despite are prepositions. So after them, we can only use a noun or a pronoun or a gerund, not a complete sentence. But
sorry, in spite
yes.
spite of no, the last sentence, in spite of that, but you said noun or ing verb, verb with ing.
Pronoun. It's a pronoun. That is a pronoun. In spite of that, it refers to the previous sentence. It means that the train was canceled. Okay, that's what you heard. You have heard. You have the information. Now we say, in spite of that, we arrived on time. It means although the train was canceled, we arrived on time.
Mm-hmm.
Am I clear? So that here is a pronoun.
Yeah.
And in spite of is a preposition.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So let's go to although and even though, and then we do the grammar test. Okay. Although and even though, look at although and even though. Although and even though, after although and even though, we use a subject and a verb. Even though it's slightly stronger and more emphatic than although. For example, I enjoyed the course, comma, although I would have liked more grammar practice. Although we saw each other every day, comma, we didn't really know each other. Even though she spoke very quietly, comma, he understood every word. She didn't get the job, comma, even though she had uh, all the necessary qualifications. Clear?
I have a question, Sam.
Yes.
What is the difference between even though in the first of sentences and in the middle sentences? Is it difference or no?
You mean the first example and the second example?
Yeah, that's right.
No, it depends what you're going to say and how you're going to arrange your writing. You can put the even though, I mean this clause, this dependent clause first, then you use comma, and then put the independent clause, or vice versa. You put the independent clause first, she didn't get the job, even though she had all the necessary qualifications.
Okay.
So the meaning does not change. It's just a matter of preference, how you prefer to just arrange your sentences.
I have a question. Could you please explain? I feel confused in the part where say is more stronger and more emphatic than I thought.
Yeah, it's stronger, slightly stronger, and a little more emphatic. Means it emphasizes the contrast. Okay, when you want to emphasize that there's a contrast between what you have said before, the old information, and the new information, then you use even though. And it is usually used mostly for writing, not for spoken language.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, clear? So it's a matter of emphasis. When you want to emphasize that there's a contrast between these two ideas, you use even though more than just although. Okay, so the last point is though. Though is usually conversational. It is mostly used in daily conversation. Though can be used in the same way as although. It's a short form of the although, and you can use it in the same way. Though I wasn't keen on the film, I thought the music was beautiful. Okay. Also, sometimes we can use though at the end of the sentences. For example, here, look at the next note. It says that though can also go to the end of the second phrase. This way of expressing contrasting ideas is most common in spoken English. Okay. For example, you express one idea first. Okay. For example, we waited ages for our food. The waiter was really nice, though. Okay. So you remember that although we waited for ages for our food, the waiter was really nice. Okay. So you can put it at the end as well, but usually it is just for daily conversation. So we can just practice more. Look at the test we have here. If we can see the test, I don't know what happened to the test. I could see it right now. Maybe the other one. Let me try the other. Oh, I cannot see the test. What's wrong with that? So did you have a look at the page? I just sent you the page and also the test.
Yeah.
Yes.
See the test now.
Yes, I did that.
I cannot see the test.
Yes, it's here. Grammar test 1.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Here?
Now you can see?
Oh.
No, there isn't anything.
I can see it.
Just a moment, please.
No.
I think someone is just calling me. Let's see who is there. Oh, okay. I cannot answer right now. Okay, sorry for interruption. So, can you see it right now?
No.
Or is it on your own
No.
computer?
No.
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 I can't see.
I cannot
No,
see it right
can't.
now. Oh, yeah, here. Yeah, for test B, I can see it. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are going to decide which one is the most appropriate conjunction or preposition for the sentence, okay? So look at the sentence. We decided to buy the house, comma, we didn't really have enough money.
Even though.
Even though.
Even though,
Even
So
though.
even though is the best choice. Why?
because we have
Because
subject and
sentences.
verb.
two
You have
sentences.
two sentences.
That's right, because we have a complete sentence in the second part after even though.
Even though,
So
yeah.
we need even though or although. We cannot use despite or in spite of. Next one. Look at the next one. My careful planning, we ended up playing in a really bad hotel. Sorry,
Despite.
staying in a really
Despite.
bad hotel.
Despite is correct.
So
Despite.
which one?
Despite.
Despite. Why?
Because we have pronouns.
You have ing form.
No, my is
Is it
My
ing
choice.
form or
no. We have
a noun
pronouns.
phrase?
Phrase.
Isn't
It's
it
a phrase.
No.
It's a
We
noun
It's a
have
phrase.
ing
pronoun.
form.
Noun phrase.
Yeah, you can say it's
Gerund.
ing form, but here the ing form or gerund is used as a noun, and we have got some adjectives and some possessive adjective before it. So we call it a noun phrase. It's a noun phrase. Okay, so
Yes.
since it is not a complete sentence, we should use despite. The next sentence, my partner snores really loudly, but that I sleep well.
In spite
spite.
of.
Spite
Spite
of.
That.
Spite of.
Mhm. In spite of that,
We have a pronoun.
I sleep well. Yes. In spite of that, that is a
Pronoun.
Pronoun.
so we cannot use even though or although. The next one. You keep making that stupid noise.
Even though.
Even though.
Even though.
I've asked you
Even
to
though.
stop 3 times.
Even
Even though I've asked you to stop 3 times. Yes.
Yeah.
We cannot use these two because we have a complete
Sentence.
sentence. That's right. The next one. I won the race. Coming last
In spite of.
in
In
the
spite of.
practice run.
In
Which one?
spite.
In
Spite of.
spite of.
Very good. In spite of. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah,
have
because we
ing
have
form verb.
ing.
ing form.
This is ing form, Homera. Remember?
Yes.
This is ing form. This is the verb plus ing. And we use it after prepositions. Remember, after all prepositions, if you're going to use a verb, it should be in ing form. This is not a noun phrase. This is actually a participate, present participle phrase. Okay. The next one, even you told me 10 times, I still forgot. Sorry.
Though.
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 Even though.
Though.
Yes.
Even though.
So it's quite
Though.
clear.
Yeah.
The next one, I handed my report in on time. The fact that I
Despite.
had been ill all day,
Despite.
Despite.
despite the fact.
Despite.
Yes, despite the fact. Despite the fact, you see the fact is a noun phrase, so we need despite. But after despite the fact or in spite of the fact that, we can use a complete sentence, another clause. So in spite of the fact that, or despite the fact that is actually a conjunction like this with despite or in spite of the fact that. And afterwards, we can use a complete sentence because after despite and in spite of, we are using just a noun phrase like this.
Sorry, Sam, I have a question.
Yes.
Can we don't use of despite? I mean that I handed my report in